Hey everyone, welcome to the class. I'm the instructor for the course and just taking about 10 to 15 minutes to chat with you about the benefits of the career planning process and I guess the point of even taking a class like this. What's different about this class compared with classes you may have taken in the past or anything you take in the future is that there's really no right or wrong answers. There's no black or white. This whole class focuses solely on you and your journey. So the point is hopefully by the end of the class, you'll feel good about your chosen career path and moving forward with that, or moving forward with your major or your educational goals. It may confirm what you already know about yourself, so that's great too. But at least for someone who's indecisive or undecided or maybe in the middle of a career change, it'll help give you some tools and guidance and some resources so you know how to navigate the journey as you explore your different career options. And also for any of you who are preparing to find a job, we're going to talk about things like cover letter and resume and networking and all those really cool career planning topics. So let's get started. The first thing I wanted to dive into is some statistics that are pretty scary about career satisfaction, and that impacts you because you may face the need to continually evaluate yourself and your career path. Because after all, 85% of people in the world hate their job. What's even scarier is that that jumps up to 94% of people in Japan. And this poll was done by the Gallup organization, which is an American analytics company based in Washington, D.C. They do have a ton of public opinion polls. In another survey, over 50% of American workers were actually dissatisfied with their jobs, and over 70% of the nation's workforce is unengaged, which pretty much means that they have no enthusiasm for their work. So it's really hard to get out of bed in the morning and drag yourself to a place that you're not excited to be there. In fact, over 51% of employees are actively looking. So meaning they're actually working already. They're actively looking for a new job or watching for new openings. About 2/3 of adults in the American workforce now, if they could start their work life all over again, they would actually try to get more or different information about options in terms of career. And for those of you who are currently in college, this is relevant to you because 64% of college seniors said that they had serious doubts about picking the right major. And they felt that they may not have picked the right major. In a study for U.S. News and World Report, people were asked to name 3 things that contribute most to their quality of life, and the top category was job and career satisfaction. So I think it's just more important than ever to have a really good knowledge about yourself and what we call the world of work. This is especially important because the world's workplace is going through tons of change in the last 30 years. For those born before 1980, or what we may call like the baby boomer generation, a job was just a job. You know, owning a home, having a family, that was the American dream. Nowadays, for the newer generations that are working right now, like the millennials and soon to be the Generation Z graduating from high school, work is not just work anymore. People want meaningful work. They want to work for an organization that helps them grow and develop. And because they're more focused on work, they draw much more from their work environment. And those people tend to have, their best friends at work, and they want to find the meaning in something that they do. So, since more and more employees are less than fully satisfied with their current jobs, people continue to report that if only they knew more, then they could have made a better, more informed decision. So instead of facing this, I guess the point of this class is hopefully you'll gain the tools necessary to make smarter or more cost-effective decisions, and maybe moving forward in a career choice that might be a better fit for you. Okay, so why is career planning necessary? So the career planning process, just so you know, it's not this simple, straightforward, linear process. You're probably going to be constantly reevaluating yourself and figuring out, what it is that you want to do in life. So we're probably going to spend a good chunk of time in this class in the very beginning in that number 1, know yourself part. So you're going to be doing some I guess, soul searching and self-assessment, and looking at your values, your interests, your skills and strengths, personality. We're going to talk about the idea of passion in terms of, work and career and your major, outlining life rules, and just really reflecting on, some questions like, what's important to you? Would you actually be happy with your choice of career path after all of this education's over? What do you actually want to do with the rest of your life? What's going to make you feel like you want to get up out of bed in the morning and possibly go to work? What's unique about my role as your instructor is that I'm also a career counselor at Citrus. So if you guys had questions about, your career path or even your educational path and what classes to take, how to transfer, that's my specialty. So I work in the Career Transfer Center. So you guys can always come see me or even email me and ask me questions throughout this whole class and beyond. So the next piece after knowing yourself is, exploring all the options out there. So we're going to probably spend the next most important chunk of time looking at job trends, what's out there in the industry, being able to do career research, figuring out, different job titles, job descriptions, job projections, salary, being able to do informational interviews, all that good stuff. Then after that is figuring out actually how to move forward and make a decision. So I see a lot of students that, they kind of get themselves, they learn how to do all this research, and then they get stuck actually having to do something about it. So we'll talk about that. And then the part that you're kind of on your own, but you're going to get some resources in this class, is after you finish this class, if you're applying to jobs, actually doing job interviews, doing any kind of networking, meeting new people, making connections, we're going to show you how to do that. But then after that, in your experience, you're going to have to really take the initiative to build new opportunities for yourself, work with professionalism, continually working on yourself and getting new skills, seeking feedback from others, recording all of your accomplishments, and seeing if that's something that, you still want to do in terms of your job or your education or where you are in life, and then perhaps cycle back throughout the career development process all over again. So a lot of times people may evaluate after some experience in the workforce. Some people might actually decide that they want to go back to school. Some may then figure out if they need to do a little bit more research. So this kind of goes back and forth all the time. So the next piece is looking at who you are and why self-assessment is really important. So there's going to be questions as part of this class that really hones in on looking at your preferences, what drains you, what motivates you, what excites you, where do you get your energy from. And taking each piece is really important for your overall self-awareness. So the more that you know about yourself, the better decision that you can make and the better fit that you can find in terms of career, as well as major. So in terms of work interests, that's going to be a huge area that you're going to be looking at in terms of just the types of activities and tasks that you would enjoy doing. Personality, for example, will allow you to look at how you react to certain situations and people, maybe how you make decisions, how do you organize information, how do you go about solving problems. Values, I think, is one of the most important pieces of the self-awareness bubble, is because you really need to know what's important to you in your life. What do you value? If that means helping others, being creative and artistic, maybe for some other people it's just having a secure and steady job. For others, they want to make a lot of money and be able to have a certain kind of lifestyle. Skills is also very key as well, because that's a reflection of your abilities. Like, what do you do well? And it could just be hard skills, and that could be knowing languages, knowing how to use certain computer programs, to soft skills, meaning that you're a really great communicator or you're a good leader. Leisure time is also very important as well. I think all of these are obviously important, but having that work-life balance, being able to have hobbies and enjoyment outside of work in order to balance your entire life. And especially if you can incorporate that as part of your work, it's even that much more satisfying. Strengths is also key too. I really love positive psychology and focusing on one's strengths and natural talents. So we're going to have like a separate module just to talk about strengths. Okay, next up. There's a blog by this guy named Tim Urban. He writes something called Wait But Why. What's really interesting is that he did an article about how to pick a career that actually fits you. It's a really long article. Since there's actually no required textbook for this course, I'm going to recommend that this class actually read this article, and that's going to be one of the texts that you read. But what I really enjoy about his article is that he breaks down, and he's an illustrator, he breaks down the human life and actually how many hours are dedicated to some sort of career component. He says that human life on average runs about 750,000 hours. And for most of us, a career and actually thinking about work will eat up somewhere between 50,000 and 150,000 hours of one's life. So when you actually subtract things like childhood, time you spent sleeping, eating, exercising, taking care of, your pet, he's a really funny guy, he'll actually say that a lot of your meaningful adult time is dedicated to work. And then the facets that come out of that would be being able to have a good quality life. That may mean, where do you live? What kind of friends you choose to have or make? Do you want to get married? Do you want relationships? Do you want to have children? And if you do, where do you want to raise them? How do you set your lifestyle priorities? Another piece is identity. People define themselves through their work. You'll probably notice that in our childhoods, people ask about our career plans by asking us, what do we want to be when we grow up? And when we actually are grown up, people, I think when you first meet someone, will ask instantly, oh, so either, where do you live or where are you from? And then it segues into, so what do you do for a living? And if you notice, a lot of us may not say, oh, I practice, like if you're a lawyer, I practice law, but instead we'll say, I am a lawyer, or I am a teacher, or, oh, I'm a firefighter, I'm a police officer, I'm a whatever it happens to be. So that identity piece is extremely important, simply because he's trying to emphasize that it's actually an unhealthy way to think about careers. But that's the way many societies are right now. A person's career quadruples as the person's primarily identity, which is a really big thing. In terms of impact, he also says, on top of your career being the way you spend much of your time and the means of your support, it actually touches human lives in many different ways. And he says in terms of work, whether it's paid employment or volunteer experiences, the kind of impact you end up making is largely within your control. So depending on the values you live by and the places that direct your energy, you can actually shape your career path the way in which you want to make an impact on the world. And finally, the benefits to a career that actually fits. So according to a book called The Pathfinder, some key things that I pulled out were enjoying better health, having a longer life, having more vitality, enhancing your own personal and professional relationships, and just simply being more fun to be around. If you notice people that actually love the work that they do, they're happy with the environment that they're in, they come home a lot more energized and a lot more excited about life. And that would make someone possibly more successful, more productive, have better self-esteem, and being able to live a life that actually matters, that counts. And finally, most importantly, looking forward to life. So I hope for all of you that you're able to find work that brings meaning into your life and gives you a sense of satisfaction. Because I just simply think that the right career gives you some motivation, and it's what drives you and helps you want to keep learning and growing. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this particular video. I will see you in class.